Hello everyone. Welcome to Centers Made Simple with Smorgie. I'm Rochelle and I'm excited to be your host for today's webinar featuring the one and only Greg Smedley-Warren from the Kindergarten Smorgasbord. We'll get started with Greg's presentation in just a moment, but first we have a few housekeeping details for you. For better audio-video quality, close other applications like Skype that use bandwidth. If you are having any audio or video issues, try refreshing or changing your browsers. We will be using the question feature today since everyone is muted during the webinar. If you have a question, type it in the box. Let's practice now. Everyone, find the question box and type in where you are from. It looks like we have people from all over joining us today at the webinar. Today, for attending the webinar, you will receive a certificate of attendance for attending today's webinar live. Your certificate of attendance will be emailed to you within 2 days. Now for prizes. Everyone live on the call tonight gets the Kindergarten Smorgasbord Pickle Letters and Sounds unit. 4 lucky winners will receive 1 free year of ESGI, and the grand prize winner will receive a 1-year ESGI license and a $50 gift card to the Kindergarten Smorgasbord TPT store. We here at ESGI are thrilled that so many of you registered to learn with Greg today. Thanks to all of you who are dedicated to helping children and families. Now, I'm going to turn it over to Greg. Let the learning begin.
Hello everybody, this is Greg from the Kindergarten Smorgasbord. A little bit about myself. I've been teaching for 11 years. 7 of those years have been in kindergarten. I did not go willingly to kindergarten. I was placed there by a former principal, and when I found out I was moving to kindergarten, I did what all grown men do. I called my mommy and cried. But on my first day in kindergarten, I fell in love, and I knew that I had found my calling and my passion. And now if anyone would try to move me from kindergarten, they would have to do so with me kicking and screaming. I'm so excited to be hosting another webinar with my friends from ESGI. And I want to say a huge thank you to all of you who are taking time out of your busy evening to learn about centers and to gain new ideas for your math and literacy centers. I'm a huge fan and proponent and believer of using centers or workstations in the classroom. Today I'm going to share a simple center management system that is kid-friendly and teacher-friendly. I'm also excited to show you how Kindergarten Smorgasbord centers and workstations are teacher and kid-friendly, which helps make centers very simple. And finally, I'm going to show you some ideas for DIY, do-it-yourself centers for your classroom. For years, I struggled to find a way to manage and run my centers that didn't stress me out and make me never want to do centers again. It was painful some days. And finally, I went to a make and take session offered by my district and learned about a center wheel, and my world was changed. I have spent years tweaking and adapting this center wheel idea into what you're going to see today. And after all these years, center time is my favorite time in the classroom. In fact, our classroom is considered a center-based classroom because most of our day is spent in our centers. I hope this webinar provides you with new ideas for managing your centers and new ideas for center activities. I know the feeling of attending a professional development session and leaving with nothing and feeling like you'll never get that hour back. I want for you today to walk away from this webinar with at least one usable idea that you can implement into your classroom tomorrow. As my friend Oprah says, I hope you find your aha moment. So why workstations, or why centers? Centers can be very motivating because they can be fun, and kids can have choice and voice in their centers. We want kids to be motivated, and centers are the perfect way to bring hands-on, engaging fun into our classrooms. What's more motivating than having fun? Centers allow students to apply and practice the skills we've been learning in our classrooms, and centers give us teacher freedom. This freedom allows us to do guided reading or guided math groups, small group instruction, and one-on-one instruction. It's during center time that I am pulling groups or working with students individually. The students are engaged in their centers, and I'm free to work with my students as needed. Why workstations and centers? Differentiation. Centers allows us to differentiate our learning so that all students can be successful and we can meet the needs of all of our students. We can target our centers to meet the needs of students so they can be successful and have the scaffolding and support necessary to learn and grow. This differentiation allows them to be successful and allows us to target our instruction. Using ESGI to assess my students and to use that data allows me to form my groups and differentiate centers for each group. What makes effective centers? Centers need to be organized. Materials need to be clearly labeled so students and the teacher can find what they need when they need it. You need an area for students to put their incomplete center work so they can finish it later. Having your centers organized allows students to work successfully and independently, which again gives us teacher freedom to do what we need to do. And speaking of organized, your centers should also be organized when they're not in use in the classroom. For centers I am not using, they are sorted by skill. I have a tub for each skill in our classroom. For example, I have a tub for letters, a tub for sounds, a tub for numbers, a tub for adding, etc. This makes it easy to pull new centers and change out centers. I don't have to dig through a box of February themed centers to find something for addition. I can simply go to the addition tub and pull out a new addition center. What makes effective centers? Centers need to be engaging. If we want our students to learn, they need to be engaged in their centers. Students need choice and voice in their centers. They need a voice in their learning, and giving them choices in their centers allows them to be engaged. The more choice we have, the more engaged we are. The more engaged we are, the less behavior issues we have. Centers need to be fun. We learn more when we have fun. Our students deserve to have fun while learning, and so we need to make our centers fun. Effective workstations need to be set up so students can do them independently. Students need to be able to work and complete their centers independently with little to no help from the teacher. This again protects our teacher freedom so we can conduct our small groups and conferences. And fun. Yes, I said it twice because it's that important. It's our job to make learning accessible to all students, and the best way to do that is by making learning fun. Make your centers fun for your students. What makes effective centers? Our centers need to have a consistent structure. Every day, the same consistent structure. The structure and the process stays the same. The only thing that changes is the skill. And since research tells us that the brain loves novelty, simply by changing clip art or theme creates a new experience for our kids. The structure and the process stay the same. The skill and the clip art change, creating novelty and engaging the brain at higher levels. It's new and engaging for our students and easy for us teachers. This is the underlying philosophy that I follow when I'm creating my centers. If you use kindergarten smorgasbord centers in your classroom, you will see that consistent structure and process in every center. Once you introduce kindergarten smorgasbord centers at the beginning of the year, you won't have to spend very much time reteaching new centers each week. That means more time in centers, which means more fun and learning, and less time spent on giving directions and introducing new centers. What makes effective centers? Our centers need to be aligned to our curriculum and standards. Whatever standards your state or district uses, make sure your centers are aligned to those standards and that your centers are meeting those standards. So how do we do centers? Our center management system is both teacher and student friendly. It's visual and color-coded, so it's easy for students to use and follow. We use actual photographs of the actual centers in our classroom to make our center management system visual. And it's teacher friendly. It makes it easy for us because there's less transition time and less prep work. And because the center management system is visual, the students aren't asking us questions about what centers to go to, where do they need to go today, what do we do when we're finished. It's very kid-friendly and very teacher-friendly. Our center management system allows students to be independent during center time and gives them control over their learning. How do we do this? We give them choices. There are choices built into our center time, a lot of choices. The students are not reliant on us to know where to go or what to do. Choice means they get to do what they want and what they like. This means they're more engaged, and that means less behavior issues. And because our centers are differentiated, their choices are always meeting their needs. And so while the students have a lot of choice and voice in their centers, I have the ultimate control over their centers and what they're learning on. Because I'm differentiating the centers, they can still have the choice, but those choices are still meeting the needs of that student and that group. In our classroom, we have 5 centers for literacy. We have a listening center, a computers and technology center, a library or read to self center, a write the room center, and our literacy tubs. You might notice that these are very similar to the Daily 5. I tried the Daily 5 in my classroom several years ago and found that it didn't work well for our needs and for how I was running my classroom. So now we use some pieces of the Daily 5 in our center system, and it's somewhat of a modified Daily 5 type system. The listening center is where, of course, students can listen to a story. I use personal CD players, and every week we have 4 different stories that the students can listen to. Those stories are always thematic or tied into what we're learning or the season or holidays. And again, students can choose any of the stories to listen to. So even in listening, they have lots of choice. In our Computer and Technology Center, we have computers, iPads, augmented reality, and our smartboard. When students are in the Technology or Computer Center, they can choose any of the technology or computers in our classroom. For the Library and Read to Self Center, the students are free to choose any book from our classroom library, any of their guided reading books, or their library books. They're also free to sit or lay anywhere in the classroom that they would like. For Write the Room, we have, normally in our classroom, we will have 3 or 4 different Write the Room activities around the classroom. So again, there's choice and the students can choose which Write the Room activity they would like to do. And finally, our literacy tubs. Each group has 9 different literacy tubs. Each tub contains 1 differentiated activity. So when the students are in their tubs for center time, they have 9 different activities that they can choose from. Once they complete that activity, they're free to do it again, or they're free to pick another tub. Tubs are where you find letters, sounds, sight words, writing, word work, etc. So instead of having a sight word center, we have our tubs. Instead of having a writing center, we have our tubs. So instead of having individual centers around the classroom, we have our tubs that encompass all of the things that you might have as an individual center. In our classroom, we have 4 math centers. We have 10 frames and graphing, and in this center you will always have 10 frame cards that are thematic or holiday themed, and those are so students can practice number recognition and one-to-one correspondence all year long. There's also graphing included, and in that, in the graphing, you're going to find my C-Count graph creations where students are counting and graphing and analyzing data. We have our math baskets, which are very similar to our literacy tubs. We have Math the Room, which is very similar to Write the Room, but instead of writing, they're counting and writing numbers. Later in the year, we'll even have addition and subtraction as part of Math the Room. Technology is also one of our math centers, and again, they're free to choose any of the technology that we have in our classroom. Our math centers run the same way as our literacy centers. We use a wheel and color-coded groups. In our classroom, we have 4 groups for center time for both literacy and math center. These are our center groups. These groups are not the same as our guided reading groups. These are our center groups. There might be some overlap in the 2 groups, but they're not always the same groups. Depending on your class size, you might need more than 4 groups. I recommend 4 or 5 students per group. So in order to determine how many groups you would have, divide your class by 4 or 5. If you have more than 4 groups, you would have more than 4 colors on your center wheel. These groups are very fluid and are based on skills that we're working on. I use ESGI to assess the skills, and I use that instant and fast data to form my groups. The groups are very fluid and change often. Using ESGI and the speed that I can assess my students makes adjusting my groups very easy and very stress-free. So, how do we do it? How do we do centers simply in our classroom? Number 1, we check the basket. Number 2, if you have work in the basket, then you do it. If you don't have work in the basket, go to step number 3. Number 3, you check the wheel. The wheel tells you where you can go that day. Number 4, which is the hardest step of all, is we get to work. So we check the basket. If we have work, we have to finish it. If we don't have any work, we go to number 3, which means we check the wheel. The wheel tells us where to go. And then, of course, we have to get to work. So number 1, we check the basket. So these are unfinished center work baskets. There's a basket for literacy and a basket for math. If you look closely at this photograph, you can tell that on this day, someone did not follow directions and they placed their math work in the literacy basket. If a student doesn't finish a center when the cleanup song comes on, that paper goes in the unfinished work basket. There's a basket for literacy centers and a basket for math centers. The first thing they do when it's time to go to centers the next day is check the basket. If they have work in the basket, they must finish that work. If they don't have anything to finish, then they can check the wheel. So this video will show you a student checking the basket, finding some work, and going to find that work so he can finish it. This video has no sound, so you will only see the video. So he checks the basket, he finds something that he needs to finish, so he's going to go to his tubs. He will find that tub with the activity that he needs to finish, and off he will go to finish his activity or his center. The center wheel is the heart of our center management system. The wheel lets us know our choices for the day. If students ask me where to go, I tell them I don't know because I'm not a wheel and I don't look like a wheel. Everything in our center system is color-coded and visual, as you can see. This allows for student independence. The students find their name in the groups. The groups are simply colored pieces of paper that are laminated, and I write the names on the paper with dry erase markers, so it's very easy to change out their names. When they find their name, they know their color. If your name is on purple, you're in the purple group. If your name is on blue, you're in the blue group. Once they know what color their group is, they find that color on the wheel. The wheel will tell them what their center choices are for the day. Do students have to do every choice in every center? No. That's where the voice and choice comes in. Because there are so many choices built into our center time, I don't expect them to do every center and every choice. If they want to do the same literacy tub over and over again, that's okay. If they want to do the same write the room over and over again, that's okay. That's not a battle that I'm willing to fight, because they're still learning, because everything is differentiated, they're still having their needs met. It's their choice. If I notice that someone is doing something over and over again, I will strongly encourage them to try something new and different. The best way to do this is say, hey, did you know that I put something new into your tubs? You should go see if you can find it and try the new center. That usually motivates them to go pick a new tub or a new write the room or a new app on the iPad. Students can work alone or with other students in their group. Again, it's their choice. If they choose to work alone, that's perfectly okay. If they choose to work with 2 or 3 people, that's perfectly okay too. It's all about giving them the choice and the voice, and about us giving up control. So if you check the basket and you have nothing to do, no work to finish, then you check the wheel. When you check the wheel, you find out what color your group is. If you're in the purple group, for example, you can see that you can choose tubs or write the room. If you choose your tubs, there are 9 different tubs for your group. The tubs are color-coded. If you're in the purple group, you can only pick a purple tub. However, you can pick any of the purple tubs. So if there are 9 purple tubs, you have 9 choices if you go to tubs that day. You can choose any of those 9. Or, if you're in the purple group, as you can see on our wheel, you can go to write the room. And again, in write the room, it's color-coded. There is a purple basket for write the room, so the purple group would choose their write the room activity from the purple basket. So in the purple group, you can choose tubs or write the room. You are free to move between the 2 choices for that day. So if you finish a tub, you can choose another tub, or you can go to write the room. If you go to write the room and you finish write the room and you want to go to your tub, you can go to your tub. You are free to move between those 2 choices. However, you cannot go to any other centers that day. You cannot go to the library. You cannot go to technology. You must stay in tubs and write the room. So on this day, the purple group cannot go to technology. They can only go to tubs and write the room. Again, that's where having all of the choices built in comes in and becomes important. The wheel gives them 2 choices for the day. Within those 2 choices are more choices. The students have control over how they spend their center time. Giving them the choice and the voice empowers our students. When they're empowered, they have more buy-in, and buy-in means less behavior issues. So within each of the centers are more choices. So they have a multitude of choices. This is important because we do not transition from centers to center. We do not clean up and move to new centers after 15 minutes. We stay in our 2 centers for our entire center time, which on average in our classroom runs about 45 minutes to an hour or a little longer. That's why the choices are so important. Because there's no cleaning up and transitioning to new centers, we need lots of choices so we stay engaged. With all of the choices, the students don't get bored or run out of things to do. And it eliminates the issue of early finishers or fast finishers, because if they finish one center, they have plenty of other choices that they can do. This next video is going to show you a student who checks the basket. She has nothing to finish, so she checks the wheel and she goes off to her center. She is wearing a GoPro camera, so that's why the video looks the way it does. So she checks the basket. There's nothing for her to finish. She checks the wheel. The wheel tells her to go to her tubs. She is in the green group, so she will choose a green tub. She's chosen the activity that she wants, and so now she's going to go off and get to work on her center. So how often do you change centers? This is a question I get asked a lot, because with so many choices in the math baskets, the literacy tubs, the Write the Room, the listening, that's a lot of centers. And if I changed centers every week, I would be at school every Friday until midnight. So I don't change centers every week. What I do is every 2 weeks, I shift some of the activities from the pink group to the purple group. I shift some of the purple activities to the green group and some of the green activities to the blue group. This keeps it fresh and new and engaging for everyone. Everyone is seeing new activities. So then what I need to do, because I have a few empty pink tubs, I can just pull a couple of new centers and throw those in the pink tubs or the pink math baskets, and ta-da, everybody has something new and fresh. That means I don't have to spend hours on Friday or Monday morning changing centers, and I don't have to spend a lot of time on Monday morning teaching new centers. Because everyone has seen all of the centers, the students can rely on each other to help. So instead of asking me for help, they can ask each other. And again, because I'm creating all of my center activities with that consistent structure and the consistent process, it doesn't require a lot of reteaching. Everyone can do everything independently. So what if they're off task? If a student is off task, they get a reminder. If they're off task again, they must clean up and they lose their choice and their fun. If this happens during literacy centers, they clean up, they get a clipboard and a pencil, and they must write sight words with a paper and pencil. If it happens during math centers, they must clean up and write numbers. Early in the year, they might be writing numbers to 10 or to 20. Later in the year, they write numbers to 100. Students are still learning, and they're still academics, but they've lost their choice and their fun. Here are some management tips for your center time. How do you keep it from being so loud and noisy? Use music to keep the volume down. Play some soft music in your classroom during center time. If the students can't hear the music, then they're too loud. And so this is an expectation in our classroom that if you can't hear the music during center time, then you're too loud and you need to use your quiet voice. However, with that being said, I want my kids talking during centers. I want there to be noise. That noise and conversation is so important to their learning and to their social skills. So I don't expect our center time to be silent. I don't expect it to be a wild party, but I do expect and I do want and encourage them to talk and share what they're learning and working on. So I do expect there to be noise. We just have to train them and set the expectation to use their quiet voice. What about accountability? How do you keep them accountable? How do you make them do what they're supposed to do? A lot of that comes from expectations, which I'll talk about in a second. However, all of the centers in our classroom, and again, because I'm creating the centers, this is part of that consistent structure, and process, all of the centers in our classroom have recording sheets. So the students have something that they're writing to go with their center. That helps keep them accountable and can give me a record of what they're working on. I also will get up and move around the room during the transitions between guided reading groups or math groups, and I can monitor the students. The students learn that this is happening, and so they learn that they understand that I'll be up and down and checking on them, so that helps keep them accountable and keep them on task. It also goes back to expectations and modeling. We have to set the expectations high in our classroom. My students know that they have to be working during centers or they lose their choice and fun. And they don't want to lose their fun and have to write sight words or numbers. So that helps keep them on task. Also, almost every day before we go into our center time, we do a quick review of what's expected. We go over the rules, we go over the procedure, we talk about what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, and what that looks like. Just quick 1 or 2 minutes, and then they go off into centers. They need that daily reminder of what's expected of them. Also, don't be afraid to stop your center time and have a quick class meeting to address any issues. In our classroom, if I notice a lot of students are just kind of roaming around the room, then we'll play the cleanup song, everyone will clean up, we'll come back to the carpet, we'll talk about what was going on and what was happening and how we can fix it and what we should be doing, and we'll go back into centers. So don't be afraid to stop and address any issues that you see happening. And again, set the expectations high. If we set our expectations high, our students will achieve expectations. If we set our expectations low, our students will meet those low expectations. Another question that I get that goes along with managing your centers: do I grade center work? Do I collect their center work? No and no. I don't grade it, I don't collect it. I'll check it, the students will show me their recording sheet, I'll glance at it, I give them a thumbs up, it goes in their cubby and goes home. I don't need to collect and grade all of their center work. Centers are for practice, not assessment. I use ESGI to assess, I use centers to practice their skills. Another question that I get a lot is, how do you keep kids from interrupting your guided reading groups or your math groups or your assessments or your writing conferences? I've tried everything. A tiara, a hat, a tie, a tap light on my table. Nothing worked. Then I came up with the idea of a stoplight. Our students naturally know red means stop, green means go. They're also very visual. So I went to Lowe's, you can also go to Home Depot or Walmart, and bought a red light bulb. I got an old lamp, I removed the lampshade, put the red light bulb into the lamp, and it sits on my guided reading table. My students are trained that if that red light is on, it means stop. You cannot come to my guided reading table. That means I'm busy, I cannot be interrupted. Red light means stop. It works very well because it's very visual and it's very natural for the kids. Red means stop. This is why, again, having those consistent centers with the process staying the same is so important, because they don't need a lot of teacher help. They can ask their friends. Another tip, have an expert for your computers and your technology. Have a student in the class who can address computer and iPad or smartboard issues, so again, the students don't have to interrupt you. In our classroom, if the red light is on, the students know not to interrupt me, unless they are in danger, they are hurt, or they're dead. My kids know that red means stop, so this red light is a perfect visual to keep them from interrupting guided reading or math groups. If they need help, they ask friends. Now I want to show you what our consistent centers look like in our classroom. I create my centers to be consistent from the beginning of the year until the end of the year. This process stays the same. What changes are the skills and the clip art. This means that we don't have to spend a lot of time each week teaching new centers. which means more time on task, more instructional time, which means more learning and more fun. It's very kid-friendly and very teacher-friendly. And so you can see in this slide, we use a lot of spinners. And so you can see there's a popcorn spinner and there's a sparkly spinner working on letters, number recognition. You will see spinners in our centers throughout the entire school year. Letters, sounds, CVC words, blends, sight words. The spinners always stay the same process, just the scale is changing. You'll also see we do a lot of clip-it games. Great for learning and practicing academic skills, but great for fine motor also. Again, it's always the same process. It's clipping and matching, just the scale will change. In our centers, we use a lot of puzzles and matching, and again, you can see more of the spinners. We also do a lot of word building. Again, matching, puzzles, all stay the same process. The only thing that's changing are the themes and the skill. So in this slide, you can see that we're working on letter recognition and beginning sounds. Very similar process, just different skill and theme. For most of the centers that I create 2 to 3 recording sheets, which also allows for more differentiation. It also allows the centers to be used in a multitude of ways, so you're able to meet the needs of your students. Recording sheets make differentiation easy, and again, it allows you to meet the needs of all students. You can see again, matching, CVC words, matching letters, matching uppercase and lowercase letters. The very similar, consistent structure and process. The only thing that's changing are the themes. So we've got aliens, ABC Boot Camp, monster trucks. Very similar, consistent structure, just a different theme. Here you can see more matching with letters, more matching with beginning sounds. So here's a great example of how it's consistent but meeting the different needs of the students and presenting the skills in different ways. Word building, this is my What Does the Fox Say? CVCE edition. So this is more of a challenging center. And then we've also got it in CVC words. So we can write the CVC word or we can spin and read the word. Those What Does the Fox Say are created for the entire school year, from the beginning of the school year to the end of the school year. The activities are exactly the same. The process stays the same. All that changes are the skills that we're working on. Another example of the same skill, just slightly different process for each activity. Again, spinning and recognizing the word and matching the word in the picture. So as you can see, in our classroom, very consistent structure and process in our centers, which is very, very kid-friendly. They can do it very independently, which means I have a lot of my teacher freedom and I'm not spending a lot of time teaching new centers. I often get asked, how long does it take all of this to get into place? And so my advice to you is to watch for the pumpkins. So by October, mid to late October, everything should be flowing fairly nicely. Is it going to be perfect? No. But by October, when the pumpkins come, everything should be in place. The kids should be settled into the routines. They should be familiar with almost all of the centers that I've created. And so by October, things are flowing very well. I will say our math and literacy centers are the exact same process with the wheel, the visual, the choices. Literacy is in the morning, math is in the afternoon. Because literacy is in the morning, it goes much smoother than math in the afternoon. So that's something to be aware of. We tend to spend a lot more time in math being off task, and so that's something that we're working on in our classroom to address, is how we can make our math centers flow smoothly like our literacy centers do. And now I want to show you some simple DIY center ideas for your classroom. So this is a toss across game that I found at a store for $10. You can also find them online at Amazon. So what I did was I put the game together, and the way this works is this is a tic-tac-toe game, and so it comes with X's and O's, but instead of using the X's and O's, I placed Velcro dots on each of the sides of the yellow spinners. That allows me to create new games simply by popping off cards and putting on new cards. And so at the beginning of the year, we did simple letter recognition. The students tossed the beanbag, whatever letter they landed on, they found that letter on their recording sheet and colored the letter, or they had a recording sheet where they had to write the letter. Later in the year, I popped off the letter cards and I added new cards. And this is word building. So the students spin all of the spinners and they see if they have made any words. So on this slide you can see that they made set. And so on their paper they would write set. They also made hit. So they could write hit. So that's a very challenging center, a great way to challenge those of your students that are reading and who need a little bit more of a challenge in their center time. This can be used for letters, sounds, CVC words, sight words, addition, subtraction, numbers, and more. I have free recording sheets for this game on my blog. Rubber duckies. Grab a set of rubber ducks on Amazon and write letters on the ducks with a Sharpie. Your students can then choose a rubber ducky to learn their letters, their sounds. You can have them put the rubber duckies in ABC order. Maybe you don't want rubber duckies. That's completely fine. But what is think outside of the box and imagine and think about what other items can we use to create simple centers for our classroom. Rubber duckies, bottle caps. A teacher in my school used flip-flops. She found them on clearance. She bought a set and she used them to make a learning center. Very out of the box, but very fun and different. By regular items in new and different ways, we keep our students engaged and excited, and that keeps them learning. Don't be afraid to jump out of that box and try something new and bold. Start walking through the Dollar Tree or Target Dollar Spot or Walmart or the hardware store and start looking at items in a different way and start thinking, how could I turn that into a literacy center, or how can I turn that into a math center? For example, at the hardware store, paint sticks. I've grabbed a bunch of paint sticks from the Home Depot. I turned the paint sticks over, and on the back I wrote a simple sight word sentence, threw those in the literacy center with some picture cards, and the students were making silly sentences. Paint sticks, just looked at them in a different way and thought of how I could use those to create new DIY centers in my classroom. Pool noodles are one of my favorite classroom tools. And don't worry, I know it's not pool noodle season, but you can still find them online. Here's an example of using pool noodles for word building. Cut the pool noodles into small sections. Write letters for CVC words. Have the students build the CVC words, read the word, and then write the word. You can also do letters in ABC order. So write the letters of the alphabet on the pool noodle sections and have students put them in ABC order. You could even challenge them with a little bit of a STEM activity to see if they can build a tower putting the letters in ABC order. You could write numbers and do number order. You could write numbers and use plus and minus and have the students build and solve addition and subtraction equations. You could do word families. You could do blends. You could do digraphs. You could do CVCE words. You can do sight words. You could even do sentences by using different colors of pool noodles for the different parts of speech. Again, very common material, just thinking about different ways to use that in our centers. Shape notepads and cutouts. If you're like me, I have drawers full of these shape notepads from the parent-teacher store and these shape cutouts from the Dollar Tree. So what did I do? I simply wrote numbers on the shape notepads, stuck them on a piece of cardstock, wrote the number word, laminated them, and now I have a counting center. So the students can use any manipulative in the classroom, so they're working on number recognition and counting. I also used a 10-frame stamp and made 10 frames on the stars, wrote numbers on the rockets, so now I have a 10-frame matching center. With these shape notepads and cutouts, you can do uppercase and lowercase letters, numbers in 10 frames, sight words, tally marks, addition and subtraction equations, any skill can go onto these shapes. Simply laminate them, and they're durable and reusable. The great thing about the shapes from the Dollar Tree is that they change very frequently, and they change from store to store. So if you visit one or two different dollar stores, you'll find a bunch of different shapes, so you're able to keep it new and fresh for your students. Muffin pans. You can get muffin pans for $1 at the Dollar Tree, at Walmart, so they're very cheap, they're very durable. You can even spray paint them if you wanted them to be fun colors. You can use Post-it notes to label the cups. So in this activity, I looked at my ESGI data where I had assessed our sight words, and ESGI provides a bar graph analysis of our most missed sight words. So I wrote those sight words on many Post-it notes, stuck them in the muffin pan. Students have a little pom-pom. They toss the pom-pom, and wherever it lands in the muffin pan, they have to read that sight word. They build the sight word with magnetic letters, and they write the sight words. So not only are they engaged, but we're also hitting various learning strategies and learning modalities, which helps them retain their information. You could label the cups with letters, sight words, numbers, addition, subtraction equations, tally marks. Simply toss a small object, whatever it lands in, you could solve the equation, you could write the sight word, you can make the tally marks. Very, very simple, very easy to change and differentiate, keeping it fresh, keeping it interesting. Paper plates. So you can get about 100 paper plates for about $3. So what I did with my paper plates was I wrote numbers and the dots to go with the numbers. Then I simply cut the paper plates apart in random patterns and made a counting puzzle. The puzzle that you see in this slide is the same puzzle that I made 7 years ago when I started kindergarten. So paper plates hold up very well. You could also do the same idea with sight words, shapes, uppercase and lowercase letters, addition and subtraction, tally marks, and a variety of other skills that our students need to work on. And because they're cut in random patterns, they have to get the right match so the puzzle will go back together. You can even purchase color paper plates if you want to make it more fun. Christmas ornaments. You can get these for about 50% off after Christmas. So what I did was I put sight words on our ornaments. I hung those in our classroom, and this is one of our Write the Room activities. Students can read and write the words. You could also do addition and subtraction equations, letters, numbers, tally marks. Again, simply looking at ideas in a whole different way to make learning fun and engaging. Dollar Tree trays. These are trays for chips and dip from the Dollar Tree. They come in a variety of colors. The colors change seasonally, so you could have a whole rainbow of trays in your classroom. These are great for sorting and matching. Label the sections with letters. Have students sort magnetic letters or letter tiles. Label the sections with numbers, and they can sort addition and subtraction equations or tally marks. You can do beginning sounds. Again, any skill could be adapted to use these trays. In our classroom, we have a light box, and our favorite manipulative for our light box are melted solo cups. So you can purchase solo cups from the store. You can put them in your oven at about 175 to 200 degrees. They melt into a flat circle, so they're very strong and durable. I used clear mailing labels and created a CBC word building center. So they have to choose the picture, and then they have to build the word, and then they write the word. This is great for word building, letters, sounds, sight words, addition and subtraction, numbers, 10 frames. Any skill you want them to work on can be made into a center using melted solo cups. For engaging hands-on centers for your classroom, you can check out my Teachers Pay Teacher store. Here you'll find over 300 resources that are designed to be teacher-friendly, that are easy to prep and use in the classroom. And once you've introduced my centers, you won't have to spend valuable instructional time each week introducing and giving directions for new centers. You can also visit my blog for lots of free center ideas, center activities, and more ideas for DIY centers. These links will take you to several of my blog posts and YouTube videos on centers in my classroom. These links will provide you with more information and more details on our center management system and centers in our classroom. And now for the prizes. All right, so what's next? Promises. What do you do first?
Check the green basket.
We're not going anywhere yet. Happy.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Greg.
Wonderful. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Can you, while we're getting the prizes ready, let everybody know where they can find when you are going to be live and how they can find you?
Yes, so you can head over to the blog, thekindergartensmorgasbord.com, and on the blog, of course, there are tons of ideas and resources and freebies and videos. You can also click on the Schedule Me button at the top, and that gives you a list of all of my upcoming conferences and workshops. We also do a monthly live YouTube broadcast called Submissions for Smorgie Live. And you can, it's always the third Wednesday of every month, and so we always post that on the blog and on social media. So you can join us for live broadcast every month. We're always talking about lots of different things. Sometimes it's an open forum. Sometimes it's a more specific conversation about certain topics or certain subjects. We're also all over social media. We love our social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Pinterest, and you can just search for the Kindergarten Smorgasbord and you will find us. Also, if you have any questions about anything that I've talked about tonight, you can always send us an email at kindersmorgie@gmail.com or reach out to us on social media. We make it a point to respond to every email and question that we receive. So if you have questions, if there's something I can help you with, if you need clarification, feel free to send us an email and we'll be happy to help you.
Okay, is everyone ready for the prizes now? Greg, I think we're hearing an echo. Would you mind muting for just a moment?
Yes.
Okay, what we're going to need from you is to indicate in the questions, if you hear your name, we need to make sure that you're still here, and we will be sending you your prize via email. So first, we're going to pick for the 1-year free subscription to ESGI. First winner, Yvette Chambers. Yvette Chambers, please indicate that you are here by giving us a message in the questions. Yep, there she is. Okay, second winner, Alana Joy. Alana Joy, you are a winner of a free year of ESGI. Next is Katie Allen. Katie Allen, you are a winner of a free year of ESGI. We also have Monica Maltez. Monica Maltez, you are the winner of ESGI's free year. Now don't forget, everyone on this call is going to get a downloadable from Greg's TPT store, so look for that as well. But now we're going to announce the grand prize winner, so don't go anywhere. This grand prize winner is going to get 1 free year of ESGI plus a $50 gift card to Greg's TPT store. Grand prize winner, Caitlin Peters. Caitlin Peters, please let us know that you are here. You are the grand prize winner. We are so glad that you were able to join us today. Thank you to Greg for presenting this great information. Don't forget, like he said, to follow the Kindergarten Smorgasbord on all social media networks and subscribe to his blog. He will be answering the specific questions that you asked today. And don't forget to check your email in the next 2 days to find your certificate of participation, a link to the recording of this webinar, and Greg's Pickle Letters and Sounds unit. Thank you, Greg. You can unmute now if you'd like. Thank you so much for being with us, and thank you everyone for your participation.
Thank you for having me, and again, thank you to everybody who joined us. Again, you can email me if you have questions, and I'll be writing a blog post to answer the questions that you were asking during the webinar.
Wonderful. Everyone have a good night. Thank you.